Hi. So we're back and we're having an incredible conversation while having lunch, and I decided that it would be great to record it. And the conversation was it started to be about mold, right? And things that affect us. And I said that sometimes I feel like this apartment, because of the way the walls are painted, it's not really a paint, it's a seal. And the way I figured it out, because my kids, they bumped something on the door, and instead of the paint breaking off, it was a seal that broke off, and you can literally like peel it off.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm always kind of curious because I feel the mold here, but I don't see it, right? So it's like that trick. And then when that happened, I thought, oh my God. And I started reading about that type of seal, and it's actually used to prevent mold from happening.
Oh, wow.
And then one time there was a leak from the neighbors upstairs, and the leak in the bathroom. And around where it leaked, it was literally less than 24 hours that mold showed up. And I called the management, they came in, and right away they just sealed it back up. And then it's like the mold is not there. But of course the mold is there, right? They didn't treat the mold. They didn't change it. So I feel it. And the most interesting thing happened. It happened twice. First, I gathered some acorns up north, and I brought them here, and I put them in this drum thing, like a tray, and I put it somewhere near the fire to dry them out, but they molded up fairly quickly. It was so quick that I thought, oh my God, I didn't know that happened so quick. And then last time, Nathan brought a bunch of acorns, and we were making the acorn meal, and then he kindly left me a full bag of them, and I put them out onto the tray and just left them on the kitchen counter for a day. The next day, like in the evening, I took them out and I started breaking them apart, and turns out that they are molded. So right away, this alarm goes in my head, went off in my head, that there's something a little bit strange here.
Oh, yeah.
And in my bathroom, there is the ventilation system that you're supposed to have, the fan. It has the sound of it being there, but it's sealed over. So there is no fan, there is no ventilation basically at all in the bathroom. So any steam, it'll always stay there. It has nowhere to go. So I was telling Nathan how it affects me mentally, and I said that per se my immune system is extremely strong because I spend a lot of time outdoors and I eat very healthy, and I'm also a healthy thinker, right? I try to, clarity is pretty, the moment I've clarified myself from all my addictions, a completely new life unfolded. Everything is good, no matter how bad it is. It's still, there is just so much goodness in everything. That's how I see it. But when I get into the apartment, I start feeling a certain way, meaning like bad thoughts, down thoughts do creep in, and the first, if anybody would ask me, why do you think this happens? I would say mold. And I always believe that first blink thing that comes into your mind, I'm learning over and over again that it is always the correct answer, the intuitive answer that always comes into your mind. Yeah. So when I go outdoors, when I go out into nature, I do it also because of the way I feel there mentally, right? Physically, I feel good here too. I don't feel like this is affecting me physically, but mentally it has an effect on me. And I was telling Nathan that how we are, I see the world as everything being as everything fractaling out in a way, and everything being a repetition of itself, right? So if I am a certain way, all of my vehicles will look a certain way, meaning my car will look a certain way, will be like a physical representation. And what happened many times when I would, let's say, hit my car got hit, gets hit on this left side, and I always have dental issues on my left side.
Oh,
so
wow.
I always see that as a translation, like there is an innate issue that is going on within me physically on that left. Oh, this is the right side, sorry. I'm really bad with that part. With the right side, don't ask me left and right.
Oh, man. I thought you were being a genius.
Yeah.
Because you know how it flips it?
Yeah,
I thought
like
you were like the left. No, I was like, oh, she's doing the right side so they could
Yes,
see
yes,
the
yes.
left side.
And
Yeah.
the thing is, I'm a Pilates teacher, so I normally, maybe that's
Oh,
why I
yeah,
did
that's
it.
why you
Because,
did it. Yeah, see, you are a genius.
Ta-da, just I don't know about it. Thanks. Thanks for reminding.
There you go.
So I say that the same thing happens also in the apartment, but it would not be true to say, which a lot of people, when they begin to see the world like I see it, they would say that, oh, since there is mold, it is a reflection of you, right? Like there is, say, there is, how I would describe it, there's something hidden. There is something hidden. There's something under this paint, under the seal, right? Because it looks very perfect, but it's very old building. And just because that when that leak happened and the mold showed up right away and they covered it right away and it was gone, you know, it's like, yeah, gone. Like, no. So I see and I feel that energy of the mold, you know, it has, like you said, it has its own vibration, and I am very attuned to vibrations, and I feel that something is hidden, that something is unclear. And like I see this like X-ray vision, you know, of like this mold leaving behind these beautiful walls. So when you're just beginning to see world as being fractaled out like this, on itself, like everything is a depiction of everything else, but just either macro or micro scaled, right?
Yeah.
When you first, then you would say that somehow this is within me, right? That that there is something hidden behind these walls, but this is the way I understand it, because I've recently moved here. I lived in a different apartment that didn't have this issue, but because I did move myself here and I signed the contract that I'm basically agreeing to be surrounded by these walls where something is hidden, right? And then now that can fractal in on me, on the inside of me. So that's and
Okay.
do you understand?
Yes.
And that's how. So basically, it goes both ways. It doesn't necessarily mean that what's inside of me, I'm going to manifest that, because we're constantly moving around. And this would be ideal if you live in nature. You would see everything in your immediate 360, what's inside of you. But because we're in sort of a matrix, it doesn't work that way. You know, you have to use your discernment, because a lot of times you'll end up in a situation that is not like you, but since you've agreed to put yourself, that's when the free will comes to mind. When you have agreed to put yourself into that circumstance, you are now agreeing, especially by signing a contract, you are agreeing for that energy to now manifest inside of you. So by these thoughts that are coming into me, these daunting thoughts, sometimes, you know, worries and this, when I get into the apartment, it's that energy that I agreed to, because something hidden to start attacking me from inside. You know what I'm saying? To start manifesting from inside. And that's how I see everything. You know, you use discernment and you see, is this a reflection of me, or is this something that can become a part of me and can manifest within me too, right? Because sometimes your immediate 360 reflects your deeper inner self, but because we move, we're not a tree, right? we're rooted in one place, and then everything around me is a manifestation of my inner self, right? a lot of times we move and we interact with environments and people who are not reflections of ourselves.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But I feel like a lot of people have that sometimes confused. They're like, well, that's just a reflection of you. No, it is not. I happen to be here, but if I agree to interact with that character, then that character will become slowly, start to manifest through me, because we're constantly merging, morphing, merging with each other.
Yeah. Like I think they call it like the morphic fields, like.
Oh, morphogenetic.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
like
those.
we're like, you could say we do manifest, but we're more like co-creators, like the environment and people are interacting with us and we're also interacting with it. So I think that's so important what you're saying, like it's not necessarily you, you didn't manifest the mold, but now that you're in here, you're like the vessel that it wants to come out of, right? It wants to like exist. It has a spirit, most people would be like, oh, that's mold, but it has a spirit attached to it.
It's a being.
It's a being.
More of a being than anything else here. It's a being just like me, right?
Exactly,
And
yeah.
it's like we're sharing space, right?
Yeah.
But the mold is like it's here. It's not being acknowledged, right? So imagine how, and I'm seeing how this affects me, how many issues are coming up that I'm trying not to acknowledge. Do you understand? Internally,
it's like the same, same relationship.
And this is something that I wanted to bring your awareness to and the viewers' awareness to, is that our body manifests a symbiotic relationship with its environment. No matter what type of environment you put it in, it's gonna try to mimic that environment. This is gonna sound crazy, but this is an observation that I've noticed, that just through driving right now through the coast, even, and I'm talking about, it's not what I'm talking about. It's not only like mental. It's not theoretical. It is physically. Our body will physically try to create a symbiotic relationship with whatever is around us. It's just the way we operate. So driving through the coast in the rain and driving through the coast when the rain stopped. The moment it was raining outside, my windows, and I'm driving by myself in the car, right? My windows would get condensation on them from the inside, right? I had to constantly put on the decondensation, right? How do you call that? Like
defroster?
Defroster, yeah, but it wasn't frost. What was happening, my body was trying to adapt to the moisture in the air. So my body, which is beyond what you see and touch, my body was trying to be as moist as the environment, and I could see it on the windows as fog, as this fog. The second the rain stopped, it didn't happen anymore.
Wow.
Do you understand?
Yes.
And you can give me a ton of explanations that you know why it happened, but they're not the right explanation. I am telling you, I've so many times I'm running into the same thing, that our body has this enormous, big, energetic body around us that is mimicking what it sees or trying to connect to what it sees, or a lot of times, like you say, mimicking. And and basically, that's why it's so important to make good choices of where you're placing yourself in, because your body will right away, it'll form and become just like that. Just like that, just like that. It's like that's who we are. We are acknowledging ourselves. We would want to think of ourselves as unique individuals, but no, we're not. Not in a bad way, But if you really truly dig into your design, you are designed to copy.
Yeah.
Copy. You constantly copy and become just like that. We're like chameleons.
Homunculus?
No.
Chameleon?
Chameleon.
Okay.
Chameleon. I'm translating from Russian as I speak. Yeah, and we're becoming a part of our environment. And if you're with a certain person, how quickly do you pick up the words? How quickly?
Yeah.
Because that's who we are.
Yeah.
We are
Habits,
one thing,
everything.
and we want to harmonize with each other. Because I want to harmonize naturally with you, right? I will be picking up the way you act. I will be picking up your words. And same with you.
Yeah.
You immerse a child into an atmosphere, and they're like, right away they become that. They'll come back and you're like, why are you speaking like that child?
So
Because
Yeah.
we're meant to do that. It's not because we're copying them maliciously or because we want to be like them. Yes, we want to be like them because we want to be one. It's a part of our DNA.
Yeah.
We want to be one. We want to become one with our environment. It's innate. We're designed that way. That's it. But you have to be able to translate it. And that's why, when you're agreeing to, let's say, being in an apartment that has something hidden in it, these things will start manifesting in your life too.
Wow. That put a lot of awareness in myself, like the things that I've agreed to without like agreeing to it. You know what I'm saying? Like where I live, right? I mean, it's okay, but ideally I would want to live somewhere that reflects what the values that I want to, like more in the forest or maybe like away from major freeways or something like that. Or like I wouldn't want to live with someone messy, for example, because that I feel for me, like you mentioned it earlier, how like you like things being organized and stuff, like, and I'm the same way because I feel it. Maybe I'm more sensitive to or maybe we were all sensitive to it, just not aware of it. But that awareness of like knowing, oh, like I'm starting to become that environment, and it's not really the environment that I want, for myself. But yeah, that just, it's bringing a lot to me that I'm like gonna have to go home and think about and like contemplate.
It's so interesting. I just remembered the post that you posted just now, a couple of days ago, about running away. What was it?
I don't know verbatim, but it's I think it's the one where it's like in your spare time, like build the life you love, not
Instead of running away.
Instead of running away, or like
If you spend all the time running away, and used all that time to build what you love, right? What would happen?
Yeah, like
right?
what would happen?
Like, but that's in a way, right? When we are forced. And I say forced because we are.
Yeah.
Because there is just no way around that, right? To pick certain places where we live, right? It is not a manifestation of who we are inside.
Oh, yeah,
and I feel like that, that's why we kind of run away, because we gravitate towards something that is more like us. Let's say me going into the forest, I gravitate towards the forest. I feel at home there. It feels home.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I don't even see that as running away from my perspective. To me,
but I understand. I understand that, but I'm just saying you can look at it that way too.
Yeah,
right.
You're
That
right.
sometimes
Okay,
look where is it that the person is running away. Most of us are running away somewhere because this does not represent us, because we're signing these contracts.
Yeah.
So eventually we will represent it. Because it's working the opposite way, it's fractaling out through us. It's trying to pass through us. It's again coming back to that idea of technology or AI trying to manifest through us, or to parasitize us.
Yeah.
And I feel like mold is one of those big, I'm very lucky because I'm into mushrooms and I'm friends with fungi, and I can handle this relationship, although it's a very challenging relationship with mold.
Really?
It's constant. I can feel that it's.
Yeah.
But those of us who are unaware of these consequences, imagine that how much sickness is coming through literally in a physical form because of the presence of the mold, or because of the presence of something hidden in the walls of where people live. And by no means it's a representation of who they are inside.
Exactly. And
you see, this is a matrix. That's why I call this the matrix, because it is not the true representation of you, right? There needs to be a very strict distinction between that, because people think of themselves and of everything like that. They kind of grasp the concept that, oh, this is like reflects you, or like this person reflects you, or this building reflects you, or but there is organic matter that does reflect you, but then there is inorganic stuff, right? That is that you're not as connected to, that does not reflect you. So when you end up in that non-organic stuff, in those structures, like let's say buildings that were built long time ago, that should be probably taken down because they are no longer healthy to live with, but it's very it would cost a lot of money to someone, right? Somebody won't be able to go and enjoy their life if they would have to take these buildings down and rebuild them. So those structures, they are imposed structures. They are incorrect. They are not a true representation of who you are. So it's just natural that somebody would want to run away from that. Most of us want to run away from it.
That's true. Yeah, and that perspective gives a lot more empathy. Empathy for people who feel trapped and like there's no, and they're not even aware even that they're running away. Because a lot of people, like, they're still unconscious, unaware. Like even me, like you're bringing awareness to me, and from that perspective, where I'm like, oh wow, like, and connecting these things. But yeah, it really brings up a lot of things, like people who grew up, in households that have a lot of trauma, and it's just generation after generation, and it's not like they agreed to it, but like it just continues until there's that disruption in the pattern. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot to get to that point.
And there may be termites in the house. There may be mold in the house.
Yeah. I was thinking that too.
And they're born into it. They're born into those issues.
Exactly.
The foundation needs to be changed. The walls need to be taken down. And if you think of it, that's why that's coming back to our desire to possess things, right? To want to have things and to call them my own. And in comparison to the native culture, where you built these dwellings that were not permanent. There was no permanence to any of it, right? Yes, they were not like super advanced like what we live in right now. Nevertheless, they allowed for continuous movement and return back to nature. So you build it, then it goes back to nature. You build something new with the materials because you know how to build. You don't build something so complex that it's impossible to recreate, right? It's simple, but the energy keeps moving. But here, we build this big thing and then we're holding on to it for dear life. It becomes unhealthy, it becomes unsafe to live in, but we instead of changing that, we're just changing building codes, right? Like what is appropriate and what is not appropriate, what is considered to be. We keep lowering our standards a little bit instead of saying no, like this is already not healthy to have all these families living in a building that has a mold problem and covering it up under this special paint, and pretending like it's not there. And then somebody is born into this. And of course they're gonna have it. It's like being born into the.
Same thing.
It's just one is a reflection of the other.
Exactly.
I will never forget when I when I went before I started going through divorce, we got termites and like foundations. They started coming out, and I knew right when that happened. I was like, the foundation is like, they're coming from under the floor. And
so you already had connected it.
Oh yeah.
At that point,
yeah.
Were you already in your awakening at that
yeah.
point?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that was one of the big reasons why, because it was it happened like slowly, and then it just like overnight. I just like literally got up and I saw everything that's happening around. I can't even go there, but
okay.
my partner at the time was like, "You crazy? You're which is absolutely normal. It happens to most of us. They're like, what? I used to think, of people who are awakened that they are crazy too. Myself, when I was on the other side of it, I was like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah. No, same here. So like, it's not even.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. But yeah, a lot of those things, and I see. Sometimes something is wrong in the body or mentally, and I can't pinpoint it. So I start just looking at the things around me, the things that surround me. What is off and where is it off? What needs fixing, right? And a lot of times it's just regular upkeep, right? You just need to get the energy moving, and you need to, just like you need to wash your body, you need to vacuum your carpet, right? That's like, it represents kind of itself. But then sometimes there is a plumbing issue, right? And then you're like, oh, maybe there's something in my colon, or maybe something, that's how I see. And usually it's correct. Most of the time, it is very correct. Yeah. I wouldn't fixate on that, and that's why I say that it's very important to see that, because you can never say this is the cause and this is the effect. In the world, in the real world, right? And that everything can be both. So I can be the cause and you can be the effect, or vice versa. And it's constantly flipping. So you have to, you kind of, it's a matter of skillful discernment, yes.
Wow.
And balancing act, where you're like, whoop, are you going to become the cause right now, and I'm gonna be affected? Oh no, let me be the cause, and let's balance out, right? And it's constant. It never ends. It never stops. So, but seeing it this way is very helpful with figuring things out that are wrong. But you have to be completely clear.
Yeah, exactly. I want to finish your thought, and then I'll.
Yeah, just I would not be able. That's why I stopped drinking, and even drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes and doing drugs and all of that stuff, because this started happening, but I didn't trust myself with it, because I was like, well, no, this is crazy, like, and not only I didn't trust myself, I also felt insecure in front of, let's say, my ex-partner, because when he would say you're crazy, I would be like, maybe, because you don't trust yourself. But when you take away all these things that influences in your life, and then anybody can tell you anything, and you're like, well, you go ahead and enjoy your life, but
like, it's okay.
I know it's okay, because I know I'm not crazy, and this is happening, and this is how you can read the world, and especially these imposed structures that have been imposed on us, because they don't unfold naturally. Like, I see the difference, how my body unfolds around me, my inner world unfolds around me in the forest. I can read it easily. Here it's different. It's a little bit more puzzled. You have to like see where it's actually imposing on you instead of you unfolding, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it folds on you, and you have to recognize that it's not you, that it's the structure imposing on you right now. And you might have to just step away, right? Or you might have to either get some sort of defense mechanism going, right? Or create some sort of conversation with the structure and say, hey, don't push on me because I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I'm about to cave in. And what are you going to do if I'm not here? You know, like it's
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
whatever, by whatever means. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's such a, oh man, we're touching on
No,
something
I'm
really
asking,
good.
like, do you understand?
No, yeah, I
Or am I
understand.
being super
No,
confusing?
no,
Okay, cool.
it's super, like, no, that makes complete
Yeah.
sense to me, and I want to add to that. We'll ask more because, you know, in the spiritual space, it's difficult at times to stay in that balance where I notice there's a blurring, like,
Yeah.
you know, if you're not in clarity, like, I keep bringing that, but it's true. You can go too far into like seeing things that aren't really related. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
like, and that's where like maybe some more like psychosis style. And I'm not saying like they're crazy, but there's no boundaries, and it starts blurring that, like where it's like, oh well, I saw the number 7, so that means there's like I don't know. Like I'm like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think of an example. And I'm not saying that's not true, but it's more like I've seen that some people go down a road where it's like, and I don't know what to attribute it to, but like where it becomes difficult to like distinguish or discern like what is imposed, what is you, like what is a manifestation of you, or what is like coming towards you, you know, because I know people, I'm not calling anyone out, but I've seen it and I've been in those shoes where, you know, sometimes I'm not stable, I'm not grounded, and then I'm like, I feel like there are enemies, you know, like everywhere I'm getting, you know, psychic attacks or whatever, or the opposite, you know, and that's where I'm like, okay, right now I'm okay, you know, like I'm like, okay, I think I feel like I know like when to be accountable for my own like shadows, but I also know when it's not me. But how do you like approach that? Like I know you said like, you know, you have to be clear,
Yeah.
but I suppose like for me it's like, I don't know, maybe I need like more of an example of what that looks like, or if you feel,
Yeah.
if you ever felt yourself feeling like that, and how you like brought yourself back to more of a balanced point of view. And I ask that because I think people like I care about who have gone too far into like one way or another, and it's like very difficult to get them like, hey, like put your feet on the ground for a little bit, or hey, like open yourself up a little bit more. And I really do like more because it's hard when they're in it, you know, and it's like you can't make anyone do that work, but maybe like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a way to like help people have that clarity, that connection, and be able to see those relationships, but not get lost in that, you know? Did I make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. I will repeat over and over again that that substances will do it to you. And I know it's self-evident, but it's that important to be absolutely clear from all the substances for a prolonged period of time, to have that discernment be there, stable, to be there continuously, and to be there stable. You will never, because what happens is this: when you have a certain substance enter into your body, it tries to manifest, right? As I said, your body always manifests your reality around you. So imagine you have a toxin now. So it's toxin, it has a different vibration. So when it manifests through you, it skews your reality, right? All of a sudden, instead of like this situation, you see a little bit of a different situation. It's very intricate, right? It's like you think that the person has a different tone of voice towards you, but to you, your mind goes crazy. But that's just because you have that toxin in your body right now that distorts your reality, your physical reality, because your body, as I said, what you see here is one thing, but then there is a whole number of pheromones all around you that create this emotional body that is like it has it senses everything, right? So it senses everything with your emotional body, and when it's a certain toxin passes through it, it perceives different. It's a different perception of something.
Okay.
So that's number one. Now, when you get to the point where you don't no longer take any substances and you're not drinking and you're not smoking and none of that is applies to you, you eat healthy and you're still like, okay, well, sometimes, you know, there is this miscalibration. I would say that always look for the invisible influences, just like something in the walls, you know, a lot of these invisible issues, right? And if you can't perceive them through, like, let's say I can perceive the since I moved in here, I perceived this mold in the walls, you know, and then I just saw it, evidence of it, and it was a confirmation. But I say that take a look at all the objects that you interact with daily, your objects, and observe them. And observe like how they behave. Maybe something is broken, maybe something, and see that it probably is something internally, right, that has that similar effect on you. And then getting away into nature is the biggest healer for me, meaning it is to balancing out my perception, because sometimes there is just so much stimuli here that you tip into especially if you're sensitive. If you're sensitive, if you're what is it? Empathic. You can tip easily into a different side. Now, and if drugs are involved, and if you're empathic, oh my God, it's a disaster. It's very hard world for those people here in the city. You must get yourself out into the nature as much as possible. And then one of the other things, like to me, let's say, what I'm taking it a step further as far as what I eat as far as foraged food, native plants, foraged food. You know, I think that what we eat generally is matrix diet. And all of these things, all of the fruits, vegetables, cows, sheep, everything, all of that was brought in here by the colonizers, right? It does not native to this country, it is not native to this land. And then besides that being not having deep roots and not having history here, it's also now most of it is genetically modified. It's like, you know, if you eat that, and if you are that empathic, right, or that sensitive to what you consume, I can feed you anything. I can make any seeds, you know, and program them to whatever. Let's say, I always talk, if I want to become more resilient, right, I will go ahead and eat some tepary beans from Sonoran Desert, right, because they are so resilient. They've been here for ages, and I will acquire those qualities from the tepary bean. But what are we eating with the, let's say, almonds that are there's nothing there, right? But if I encode that almond with something, with the seeds, right, and most of the seeds they come from like big companies that are, right, they're genetically modified to withstand this weather, to withstand against this mold, to withstand against that mold and that mold. They're like sterilized, you know, they're modified. They have no character. They have no traits of their own, right? All of the traits that they possess, so imagine you're eating that food all the time, right? So you become affected by all these structures, by all these impositions, right? So let's say Amber Alert goes off in because you're made up from this matrix, it affects you so much that your entire day will be on alert, right? But if you take yourself out of that, that's what I do. I work with my diet like that. If I go and I eat food that is, you know, they didn't grow up as a monocrop in a field that is depleted of all the nutrients, that the seeds didn't come from a company that genetically chose for that seed what it should look like, right, for that perfect apple, then I become this is from personal experience, I become less likely to react when there is a big collective wave, like matrix wave, right? That can throw you off guard, that can throw you into I'm more independent of that, right? I can make my own choices. But that would be, do you understand what I'm saying? And I know I'm being a little bit confusing with this one, but basically I think that you are being swayed in those directions because it is intentional. Do you understand? That everything is designed for you to keep you unstable, or to make you believe that you're unstable, but because that's a way, you know, to keep you busy, to keep you occupied with to keep you here, to keep you doing something that doesn't give you progress forward. So when I'm explaining it funny, but I'm just thinking of people that I know, you know, that I can't name, but I know that like that's how they were, that's how they got to complete emotional instability up to the point of like being crazy, but because they've allowed this thing to completely consume them, to, you know, they eat unhealthy matrix foods, they take substances, they completely allowed their body to be overtaken by that. So now when they're swaying, you know, when they're like, their sanity is being questioned, you know, in funny ways. It's like they're toys, you know, their bodies are just
it's easy to
manipulate them and you know, I've been there personally. I've been to a place where things gotten completely crazy out of control as far as my, you know, what I saw. Was it sane? Was it insane? And that's, again, another reason why I stopped doing absolutely everything as far as drugs, drinking, smoking cigarettes. I don't smoke weed, or didn't smoke weed, and even coffee, because I didn't want to be stimulated by, because then anything around you can stimulate that within you, because you are full of that stimulant inside of you. Do you understand? The crazy things happened where I'll talk about it in the next, because I know you have to go. Yeah, we'll do like a another video. Yeah, I'll remember it. We'll do like a cool video, because it's like, it's gonna be like an hour-long video.
Okay.
But okay, let's finish this one up before it gets even more confusing. I will not blame you if you scratch the last 15 minutes of my monologue. Yeah, no, it's hard to try to explain something and try to keep something back. You know what it is? Like when you have certain examples and you're like trying to avoid
like naming
certain things, or like walking around the issue, right? I'm a straight shooter, so when I can't, I'm like, it goes. So I have to.
No, I feel that. I'm the same way.
It gets confusing.
But maybe we'll figure out a way.
To make that more. Yeah.
But it made sense
in my head. It's a good question. I'm gonna. I know it makes sense in your head, but sometimes I re-listen to our videos. I'm like, it can only make sense in our head.
I know.
Like, I understand. I'm like, I totally didn't finish that sentence, but he knew, and that's why I didn't finish, because I knew he understood. But for the viewer, we have to learn how to finish sentences completely, because otherwise it's like this craziness, you know. It's like, but I see, because I'm looking at you and I know that you understand. So I'm like, okay, moving on. But in the video, it looks like,
how'd they go here?
From here to here.
I noticed that too. I was like, but in my head, it seemed like a longer conversation.
Right? It seemed like a longer conversation, but then it chopped off like in the middle. I I know. Okay, so
Oh,
let's
man.
work on that.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna work on
All
finishing
right,
our
yeah.
sentences and thoughts, and join us for more videos.
Yeah.
And what did you say? Like, please like, share, subscribe,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Please check us out. There's more to come. A lot of different topics, a lot of different questions I haven't even asked you. There's just so much to unpack, but it'll happen, you know.
Yeah,
We'll
of
get it.
course.
But yeah,
Yes.
I hope
All
this
right.
has been helpful. Main takeaway: go to nature. I feel like that's like a very no substances. Like for the most part, I'm pretty good about that. Occasionally, I'll have like a coffee, but not really. I don't know. Like lately, it's just I haven't been craving anything, which is different. It's a different
I
way.
think everybody has their own kind of thing.
Yeah.
For me, it's because I don't have control when it comes to like indulging in something. If I like something, I'm like, I need to have it all the time. Yeah. So I've
Okay.
learned that I
Yeah.
have that trait, that's
Yeah.
a personality trait
I
and
see, I see.
maybe even a physical trait
Yeah.
somewhere in my DNA that I have that.
Yeah, give me more.
Exactly. So to me, it's black and white.
Gotcha.
I'm not gonna have anything at all because I know that one is gonna turn into two, and two is gonna turn into
Yeah.
three, and three is gonna turn into four,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
So that's how. But if your personality is different, then you go ahead and have that,
Yeah,
coffee
yeah.
and whatever. If you have,
That's true.
I have plenty of friends who smoke cigarettes completely under control. It's like when it starts taking over your life where you are dependent on it. Actually, that's okay. You can do that and be in control, but if you want clarity,
Yeah.
you have to completely stop everything.
I
There is
agree.
no
Yeah.
it's black and white.
You read my
It's black
mind.
and
You read my
white, yeah.
mind. I was like,
It's like that has to
Yeah.
go.
It makes
and
sense.
that's when you will be so certain in what you see. Nothing can tell you otherwise.
Yeah.
All the magic and all the stuff that turns a little bit into crazier magic stuff, right? Where
Yeah.
you're not sure if this is really. You will
Yeah.
never question that again when you're like completely clear.
Yeah.
But I bet you any one of those friends that any one of the people that you know that have gone through that,
Yeah.
they have substance abuse issues, guaranteed.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
Yeah, when you said that, it actually connected. I was like, there's a thread,
Yes.
and it all kind of connects that
Yes.
all of them had something, and sometimes it wasn't like a big thing, you know.
It doesn't have to.
But like,
It's a toxin.
it's something, and I'm like, wow, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, and I feel like I do better when I'm not doing anything, and I don't crave it. So it's like, why would I? Why
Yeah.
would I when I don't even desire it? When real like life, I don't want to say real life, but like when being present, sober, is like better. Because I enjoy life so much more now.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's so scary to go there because you think that life is going to be boring in a way, right? And it's not. It actually opens up, and at some point it just falls away. Even the memory of it, like to me, even the memory, I can't even believe that I did it. It sounds like it never happened. Like it sounds strange.
A different life.
It sounds like a different life, and
Yeah.
I don't miss it. I don't think about it. It's just life is completely different. It's so clear and so beautiful, and sometimes I want to get myself even to like a higher degree of clarity through fasting, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's that side. There's always ways to get clearer, but then again, you always want to be balanced within your environment. Yeah,
Absolutely.
but okay, cool.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
We'll be better at saying byes.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Bye.